Hello everybody. Everyone has probably heard the phrase mind over matter. Mind over matter? More like money over mind. Let's be real, if you have the money, who cares about attitude? Jokes aside, I've discovered that attitude truly does matter when it comes to money. You can of course keep your negative mindset, and if it makes you happy to be poor and live paycheck to paycheck like I did, but I didn't want that anymore. However, you might want to attempt a different approach if you want to improve your financial status. I was constantly told as a child that I needed to work hard to succeed and that money doesn't grow on trees. Although there is some truth in that, I've come to understand that my perspective was a big factor in my financial success, or lack thereof. You see, I had a bad attitude towards money for a very long time. I was always worried about paying my bills and having enough to get by, because it's what I was raised to do and even how my parents lived. I regularly worried that I would run out of money since I didn't think I could ever be financially comfortable, such as my parents. And I'll tell you, that kind of thinking was really working for me. I was perpetually broke and never seemed to be able to advance. I was a broke So I started to think positively, and now I'm a billionaire. Just kidding, but I am doing much better than I was before. I can afford to buy a new calendar now, one that doesn't have pictures of ramen noodles on it. I kept going in circles, getting nowhere, exactly like a hamster on a wheel. I mean exactly, more like a hamster on a wheel, except with less exercise and more self-loathing. But suddenly a wonderful event took place, and the story I will tell you right now might seem cheesy, but it's the truth. I ran across Peter, an old classmate who had a big impact on my life. Peter was a wealthy businessman who showed concern for my financial difficulties. I suppose he had some sort of sympathy for me. Perhaps he regretted making a mockery of me at school. Or maybe he just wanted to rub it in my face how successful he was. Peter was probably born with a briefcase and a stock portfolio while I was still figuring out how to use a spoon. Kidding aside. But yes, he was smarter than I was even back then. So when Peter offered to help me out financially, I couldn't believe my luck. I mean, it was like Peter Pan had finally shown me the way to Narnia, or at least the way to a stable bank account. He offered to mentor me and help me along the way with my finances. Though initially dubious, I decided that it couldn't hurt to give it a shot. Not any more than remaining in debt and not becoming a billionaire like Bill Gates. I mean, who needs $1 billion anyway? A measly million will do just fine. Peter taught me everything he knew about handling money and making smart financial choices over the period of the following few weeks. He taught me how to set aside money for savings and investments. Who knew you could actually make money by not spending it? Hashtag mind blown. I felt a whole new world had become available to me. I also had a kind of personality shift. For the first time in my life, I swear, I felt like an adult. Control, discipline, and the ability to make rational decisions as an adult. Just like a Bill Gates, right? I mean, Bill Gates probably doesn't have to choose between buying groceries or paying rent, so I guess that's one step closer to being like him. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not obsessed with Bill Gates, but let's be real. Who wouldn't want to be rich enough to swim their own personal pool of money like a Scrooge McDuck and being able to buy your own private island and live out the rest of your days as a tech king? Who needs a personal island when you can just afford to buy one of those inflatable ones and call it a day? I was able to improve my financial situation with Peter's help. I began to invest in my future by increasing my savings, and before I knew it, I had laid a solid foundation for long-term wealth. I went from ramen noodles every day to the occasional sushi dinner. I really couldn't believe it. I transformed from being a broke hamster on a wheel to a wise consumer of money. It seemed magic. And I promised to help others in need as a way of saying thank you to Peter for paving the road for me. I think everyone can overcome their financial difficulties and build a better future with the correct support and an optimistic outlook. Yeah, right. If I can do it, anyone can. I became aware of the idea of a growth mentality. All of a sudden, it made sense. I came to the conclusion that my pessimistic outlook was preventing me from moving forward, and that, in order to do so, I needed to change my perspective. I realized that my bank account was not a trash can. I had to start treating it with respect. I finally had figured out the solution to every challenge. I thought I did, at least. So I decided to adopt a more upbeat and growth-oriented attitude. I started reading books. I started reading books about superheroes and become one myself. I mean, if reading can make me a billionaire, imagine what it can do for my superpower game. Oh wait, I'm still waiting for my X-ray vision and super strength. Now I read about investment and personal finance, and I got the idea that there was always room for improvement. I made goals for myself and started working towards them. Along the road I started to experience minor success. It's not like I'm claiming to be the next Warren Buffett or anything, but I'm getting there. I felt as though a whole new world had become available to me. It's like discovering a new continent. Expect this one is filled with numbers and spreadsheets. I'm not claiming it was easy. It took time and work for me to shift my perspective, and no question there were some roadblocks along the way. But I was able to get rid of my false notions and build a better financial future for myself by putting my attention on growth and abundance. It's like I finally realized that money doesn't grow on trees, but it can grow in a saving account. It's been a wild ride, let me tell you. I transformed from a broke loser to someone who has laid a solid foundation for long-term gain. I went from being homeless to having a roof over my head. Talk about an upgrade. I used to think debt was just a way of life, but I know better. But I eliminated my debt and began saving and making investments for the future. It's as if I suddenly understood that I had been living in the Middle Ages my entire life. I always thought being broke was just part of my charm, but then I realized my charm was just another word for poverty. I'm only an average Joe who decided to take action after realizing that my mentality was preventing me from moving forward. So if you're sick of being broke and living paycheck to paycheck, try refocusing and changing your attitude to one that is more upbeat and growth-oriented. Who knows, it might actually improve your financial circumstances, or at least it will make you feel better about being broke. Who knows? The moral of the story is that working hard and earning a lot of money aren't the only factors that contribute to financial success. It also has to do with your thinking. You may start attracting wealth into your life and building a stronger financial future by changing your focus and taking on a more upbeat, growth-oriented mindset. Or, just winning the lottery. Don't waste years of your life like I did by retaining a pessimistic outlook. It's not worth it, I swear. It's like trying to swim in a pool filled with quicksand. It's not going to end well. And if you want to know if your finances are in great form, watch the following video here for indicators of that. See you and bye-bye.